So hi, I'm Ducky. I am from Tasmania. I do a lot of things, like you probably all do a lot of things. They might even be the same things. So we should definitely talk sometime, and I hear we have all weekend to do that. So feel free to come and talk to me anytime. Some of my interests include human-computer interaction, geographic information systems, anything game development, particularly augmented reality. Like, if you want to complain about Pokemon Go, I'm here. If you want to say how great it is, I'm also here. I'm happy to hear all of that. But yeah, some quick disclaimer before I launch into the topic is one thing I don't have and don't do is some qualifications, and I'm not a doctor, as you can read from that slide. And why is this important? Well, because some of you may have read the program and you may know that I'm about to talk about mental health and development. So I just want to make sure that you all know that I'm not a doctor in any sense in anything to do with mental health. So this is actually a talk that's kind of a compilation of my personal experiences, other people's personal experiences, papers, and just an assortment of anecdotal evidence. But yeah, I just want to talk about mental health and why we need to think about that as developers or people in the IT industry. So, first up, what is mental health? Because many people don't fully understand what it is. Sometimes people just don't know at all, and like that's not their fault. So I'm going to give you a quick overview on what mental health is, and I'm just going to give you the kind of what the WHO, the World Health Organization, define it as. So they define it as subjective well-being, perceived self-efficacy, autonomy, competence, intergenerational dependence, and self-actualization of one's intellectual and emotional potential, among other things. And it's all about the well-being of an individual being encompassed in the realization of their abilities, coping with the normal stresses of life, productive work, and their contributions to the community. So some of the things that we might find in the IT industry that could affect this, different subjective assessments and cultural differences, and there's lots of different competing professional theories as well. And a really important part to note about that definition and mental health in general is mental health does not equal a mental illness. So they're different things. A mental illness is something that can be brought about by having poor mental health. So hopefully we're going to make sure everyone can be in good mental health and give you some strategies to help stay in that positive range. So poor mental health can be bad for a number of reasons. It can lead to physical symptoms and affect like everyday tasks at work, at home, just in your hobbies. So why do we want to talk about this? Well, as I was saying, poor mental health can lead to a lot of bad things, and good mental health can lead to a lot of good things. Like when you're thinking positively about yourself, it can really show to other people, and that will help with your interactions with people as well. So apology of the inaccuracy of this diagram. There's actually a range of emotions for good mental health as well as poor mental health. You can still be sad about something and have good mental health. Like, it's not about whether you're sad or happy. It's slightly different to that. So other reasons we're going to talk about this is there's a lot of stigma surrounding poor mental health, and so talking about it raises the awareness, and talking about it can give out more strategies to help people deal with it, and that just generally goes toward the whole process of destigmatization of this. And we'll find when things are destigmatized, people are able to find positive roots like throughout any troubles in their life. So yeah. So another important factor is it's not just depression. There are a range of mental illnesses that can, as a part of poor mental health. So these are just some. These are the ones I was not lazy enough to type and put up into this word bubble. I'm sure you can think of like a million more. If you Google it, you'll find so many. There's a lot of words out there. So really important is depression isn't the only thing. It is something we talk about a lot, and that's good, but we need to talk about like a lot of other things too. So yeah, it comes in all shapes and sizes. So your development processes aren't entirely attached to your brain yet. maybe we'll get there, maybe we'll be cyborgs one day. So why would mental health matter to you? Like, you can still code even if you're crying into a bowl of ice cream, right? It's fine. So, but that's not entirely true. There are a lot of risks that come with development. So one thing in the IT industry that really makes it unique from other industries, like in a broad sense, is frequently programming and other roles in IT are part of one's interests and passions. It's not just as a job. And so when your entire life revolves around that, like if you're really passionate about these things and you're also working in these things, that can really push you and drive you. And that's a really good thing for so many reasons, but it can also lead to some really poor practices. So there's also the development life cycle. Who here has ever been in a crunch time? And I know a lot of you students, so assignment crunch time? Anyone pulled an all-nighter before? Maybe more than one, maybe one every few months. Any assignment time? Yeah, so that's actually probably not a great practice. And many of you may have noticed. Maybe a few days later you're not feeling that great, or maybe that same day you're not feeling that great. And if you haven't felt that way yet, awesome, but also as you go throughout your life, you may find it takes its toll. Another big thing in our industry is freelancers. So about 10% of our industry, or about 18,000 people, according to ABS statistics in 2014. That's a lot of people, 18,000 right there. And freelancing comes with its own pressures. As we heard earlier this morning in Jacinta's talk, she talked about a lot of the external pressures that comes from running your own business. And that's pretty much what freelancers have to do. So yeah, there's a lot of development risks. And I'm actually going to open it up to the audience to see if you're asleep yet. It's okay, I won't be offended if you fall asleep. That's actually really good for your mental health. Sleeping is good for you. But yeah, what risks do you think might come with the development process? Yep. Stress? Just stress of like having to get things done on time and all the different bugs come out and you fix one and suddenly there's 10 more. Yep.
One that I fall into a trap of a lot is getting too emotionally involved in the code. And so I find it really upsetting when the code isn't good enough or things go wrong and I need to learn to step back. And that's a real problem because that then leads to stress and all things.
Yeah, especially since you're going to be talking about code quality. So just trying to make sure everything's really that good. I'm sure you'll be showing us some great examples tomorrow. Anything else? Yep. Yeah, feeling attached to your code. Yeah, failing a test when you're like, I've written this is my heart and soul, and you're going to fail on me? It's like such a betrayal. You're like, I swear I put the semicolon there, I swear. Anything else? That's really true. Like when your productivity like is really good and then just one day it drops and like there's so many reasons that could happen. Like thing like personally it could happen or maybe there's something wrong with the system and yeah, that can definitely take its toll. Anyone else? Yep.
Long hours can change your eating habits and that can have all sorts of other issues.
Yes, long hours and eating habits, definitely. Does anyone here really like eating pizza or other things when they're at their computer? Yeah, a few hands. Seen it a few, especially as students. I'm sure all of us are feeling like a slight burn in our wallet occasionally. Yep. Yeah, I could definitely see that because there are a lot of things that are quite unique to our industry that could affect how we're stereotyped and having those sorts of things. But it's true of any industry. Like there's lots of mental health issues across the board. There's another one I forgot to talk about, and please forgive me for this, but prolonged sitting hours can really have a toll on your physical and like the way mental health can lead to physical health can also feed back to mental health. So prolonged sitting can be really bad bad for you. But thankfully, standing desks are on the rise, so maybe you can get into those or some treadmill desks. Cool. So we've heard lots of reasons as to why this might affect us poorly. But what can we do? I'm sure if we ignore it, it might go away, but what if it doesn't? So one really big thing we can do is talk about it, because the more we hide it, the more we're not doing to help make it better. So that's pretty much why I'm doing this talk, and hopefully that'll impart something to you. But I'm going to discuss some different levels. So as individuals, what can we do? Well, self-care is a really big part of mental health. So looking after yourself is really important. And this will be really important to you as you graduate and move into your careers, and being able to recognize the signs of when a job might not be the best fit for you and your mental health. So that's really important. So trying to figure out, especially in your student years, what makes you tick, what makes you stressed, what's going to fit you and not impact your mental health is really important. I can't give the best tips on this because nobody knows you better than you usually. Like your GP or someone with an X-ray machine might be able to see your internals a bit better, but your mental health in particular is a really personal issue. And so you might need to approach things in different ways. But and don't be afraid to put your health first. So this happens a lot in, I find, especially open source communities where it is all volunteer driven and it's frequently passion projects, and it's really great. I really love the open source community. But it does happen a lot where if you're the only one maintaining this project, it all comes down to you. And what if you're sick? What if you just can't handle it that day? But you're like, all these people are relying on me. I have to do this. I have to get it done. But what's really important is looking after your health first. Because if you don't, if something bad happens to you and you can't work on that project for even longer, that's just going to be all those people put out even more. It's always good to not be the single maintainer of a project also. So always try and get more people on board for that. I'm also going to try a practical exercise. And I've done this once before. I'm not sure how well it will go again. It seemed to go okay. So mindfulness it's a bit of a buzzword, especially in psychology communities at the moment. It's kind of just another type of meditation. It's meditation. It's defined as a mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment, while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations, and it's used as a therapeutic technique for people. So we're going to try one exercise, and this isn't about escaping yourself. It's, as corny as this might sound, trying to be within yourself and having feelings and letting them wash over you, not fighting against any anxiety, or if you're about to do public speaking, you might feel really nervous, like I still am right now. It's not about fighting that nervousness. It's about acknowledging you're nervous, accepting you're nervous, and just, that's there. It's not physically hurting you. It's just a thing, it's happening, and it will leave eventually. So I'm going to get you all to close your eyes. I'll be watching. I can tell when you have your eyes open. My eyesight's not too bad. See, the front row is already trying to be cheeky. So I want you to feel your toes. Just feel each toe at a time, or just all of them at once, and just feel them there. They're in their shoes. Don't move them. Just stay still. Another part of this exercise that's very important is to breathe. So breathe in and out. And while you're breathing in and out, I won't tell you too much how to do that. I hope you all know how to do that well. Just feeling your toes. And then we're going to move slowly up to the bridge of our foot. It has a more technical name, but I don't know it. And then we're going to move up to the ankles. You're just feeling your ankles. You're not moving them. Just feeling them there. And then up through the calves. Maybe up to the back of your knee. Some of you may feel itchy. It's pretty normal. Then you can feel your knees. Hopefully this is a good exercise because you've been sitting down for so long and you can remember that you have legs. And then we're going to go back down to our ankles. And then I'm going to get you to open your eyes. So that was a mindfulness exercise. It's pretty simple. You just travel through your body. Usually you travel from whatever extremity or even within yourself if you want, out and back in. And you're just circulating through. I've had some feedback on this talk when I first delivered it, and some people have found it nicer to actually go really fast through their body. So they're just trying to erase everything they've been thinking about and shut everything out and just traveling really fast and, yeah, just feeling themselves. So that's hopefully a practical exercise. Maybe it works for you, maybe it doesn't. I found personally it takes time, and sometimes I want to meditate and sometimes I don't. It's a very in-the-moment thing. It also helps me sleep sometimes, so maybe that will help you. So what can we do about other people's mental health? So your colleagues, your families, your team members, your friends. What can we do to help make sure that you're promoting an environment of positive mental health with them? Well, there's a lot of initiatives out there, and just listening is a really good one. So some of you may have heard of a great initiative called Are You OK Day? And hopefully you understand it's about more than just that day. Asking people, are you okay on that day is really great, and make sure you listen to them when they give you an answer. But what's important after that is also following up. One important thing to note is, like, sometimes it can be quite a burden to take on someone else's kind of problems, but really just listening can mean a lot to a person. So it's all about balancing looking after yourself and others. Another really nice thing I like to do, especially in the workplace, is complimenting other people's good work. So you saw some great code or some great project management from your best friend in that department, and you want to compliment them, even if they're not your best friend in that department. Maybe you don't get along that well, or you just don't talk. Just say, hey, you did a really great job. So I'm gonna demonstrate this right here and now. So I've noticed that throughout this day, you may have seen her on stage. She's been doing a wonderful job of introducing all of our wonderful speakers, and I really want to thank Sherelle for her tireless efforts and hard work in introducing and remembering people's names and how to pronounce them, because it's not as easy as you think sometimes. So thank you, Sherelle, for all your hard work. And I'm going to get you to all clap for her, please. So yeah, that's just one way you can kind of boost someone's day. It might actually help and bring their mental health into a more positive light than you think. So yeah, hopefully you can try that sometime. In the workplace, maybe if you become a manager one day or a project lead, you'll be able to have more power of these things, or maybe even if you're not one of those things, you can make these suggestions. I'm sure a lot of companies have avenues that you can do that. So some positive things that you could do in the workplace to help these, having kind of breakout spaces. So adult coloring has become a really big thing in the last year, and it's a nice mindful activity. People can just color and they don't have to think, and it's really nice. If you're really stressed about a project, you're in crunch time, maybe taking a 5-minute break out just to go relax in a space. So there's other activity therapies as well. There's not just coloring. I often find computer games is a really good way to just kind of let go and just shoot some things, because I'm a first-person shooter person. Also just kind of trying to understand your fellow colleagues and just the environment your workplace might be creating. So listening to feedback from employees and their kind of job satisfaction, because you'll find if people have positive mental health, they're going to be a lot more productive, or productive in a better way. So that's really important for one day when you guys are starting your startups and you want to make sure that the culture is really great. Being self-employed doesn't change this. We can be our harshest critics, so always make sure you're being nice to yourself as an employee as well. Listen to your feedback as an employee. Sometimes it can be hard to separate your boss self and your employee self. But, you know, try and have a frank discussion with yourself sometimes. I promise no one will really think you're crazy. And then we have communities. So even right here, we have our wonderful CompCon community, and I hope we're not doing anything bad so far. But one of the biggest things in communities is awareness, destigmatizing these issues. So there's quite a few initiatives in just the IT community in general. So I was really fortunate enough to know of an organization called Prompt, who supports speakers to attend conferences and talk about this issue. And without their assistance, I wouldn't be able to be here to tell you all these wonderful things that hopefully you're really getting a lot out of. So big thanks to Prompt for sending me. And there's tons of other initiatives too. So there is #DevPressed. They might not be in operation anymore because I tried to check their webpage just before now and I couldn't get to it. But they're a great hashtag on Twitter, so if you look that up, you can see lots of tweets from other people in the industry, and you might gain some insightful knowledge about what they're going through and how they're dealing with it. There's also a really great organization called bluehackers.org, if you want to go to the website. And they actually started in Australia, I believe, an Australian thing. And they have like a whole blog and website about issues and strategies into how to deal with those issues in this industry specifically. Like, they are literally for people programming and things. So definitely recommend you go to bluehackers.org. Then we have lots of other kind of communities who are trying to do things about this. There's several open source communities who are trying to make sure that they're more friendly to these sorts of issues. And lots of leaders in these communities are stepping forward and like just doing small lightning talks. So our keynote speaker from last year's CompCon, Russell, I didn't forget your name, Russell, I promise. Russell actually has done several great lightning talks at the Python conferences, talking about how he's dealt with his mental health and dealing with some projects. And that's been really inspiring to a lot of people in the community, because a lot of us have looked up to Russell, and just hearing how he's had these issues too makes you feel so much less alone. You're like, oh, it's not just me. It's not my fault. This is happening to other people too, and like really awesome people. So maybe I'm not as not awesome as I thought. And that's been really helpful. But it's not all bad. Technology can do a lot to help us too. So there are lots of direct tools. So there's smartphone apps. They will get better with time. There are some better ones coming up. There's so many like sensors and things we can use in smartphones, especially now. Like heart rate monitors are really great. Heart rate variability is really helpful for people with bipolar disorder. There's various journals and mood tracking, which is really helpful, like especially if you're seeing like a psychologist or a counselor or anything. Just being able to watch your mood, and yourself, just watching how your mood has changed over months. You can kind of pinpoint times that you're like, hey, I know what was going on there. Maybe I shouldn't leave things till the last minute like I always do. I will try and do better in future, and I'll feel better for it. There's exercise tracking, because exercise is actually good for you. Surprise. You may have heard it before, but going out for a walk, not as bad as you think. It's pretty out there. I recommend a walk at lunchtime. It's a really nice campus. I'm from Tasmania, so I'm just shocked at how sunny it is right now. But yeah, there's lots of things that technology is doing well. And there's even things like online therapy and e-mental health strategies from the government, where they're trying to kind of put more kind of services online to help a wider range of people, because not everyone can go see a person. Another really great tip that I forgot to mention in my previous section was, if you can, and like we're at university, so you should have hopefully free access to counselors and things, starting to see counselors and psychologists when you're not feeling in a poor mental health state can be really good for you, because that means they'll be able to see how you are when you're in a good way, and when you're in a bad way, they'll be able to be like, right, I can kind of see how we can get you back to that place, and they'll at least know where that place is. So yeah, if you can, maybe that's a good start. So as well as direct tools, there's indirect tools. So there's the internet. Oh man, it's amazing, right? There's so much awareness and education out there. There's tools for education. There's a really cool Python project called PsychoPy, which is being used in psychology students' experiments to, work on more strategies for mental health and know more about mental health, because there are a lot of things we don't know about ourselves, even if we do know ourselves the best. There's also lots of online communities where you can talk about things and people can share their experiences, which is a really powerful tool. So this is hopefully the end of my talk, or approaching it, and I just want to say, what can you do right now? You're like, wow, all these things? Well, you can keep talking. Keep talking to each other. Share your experiences. Don't be afraid. We should be a supportive community. We definitely have a code of conduct here, so hopefully that leads to good things. And other than this sort of thing, I've got a really great game I'd love to play with you, but I think I might take questions first because this backfired. But just a heads up for anyone who knows this game, it's called Sleeping Tigers or Sleeping Lions. Not entirely sure which. I was told one in primary school and one more recently. But we can call it Sleeping Duckies for today. So, are there any questions? I'm never sure whether that's a no. Awesome. Yes, I can. So, I have a bunch of references for this talk. I did lose a bunch, but I will definitely post them online after this, possibly on Monday, because I have an assignment due. Any other questions? Great, that means we get to play a game. So, remember, also, this is a manatee. You are not broken. You're a person, and you are hurt and frightened. Not right now, but this might apply later. Hopefully you're not hurt and frightened now. But no one can break you. You are strong, and you will all heal one day if you're feeling a bit hurt right now. But yeah, just remember this manatee in times of crisis. It is a positive influence. Unless you're afraid of them, which I hope you're not. That's a good one. So, sleeping tigers. So remember before I was telling you to close your eyes and then I said a bunch of things? Now I'm going to do the same thing and I might still say a bunch of things, but you can ignore them this time. Generally this game goes, if you move a lot while you have your eyes closed, you're out, and I guess you help spot other people, but I'm really bad at saying you're out, so you could probably sit there and flail your arms and I'd probably be like, oh, I don't want to get them out. But we'll see. Maybe I'll be harsher today. We can find out. So, close your eyes. Get into a comfy position. Yep, we're all comfy. I'll give you another few seconds. You're also free to leave anytime. Already got cheaters. Now excuse the terrible noises that are about to happen while I reattach this microphone. Gotta have your eyes closed, Sherelle. You guys are really good at this game. I'm actually looking to get people out, and it's slightly difficult. I assume the people with their eyes open, all around playing, or they're helping me get people out. So if you see someone move too much, just point them out, and I'll be like, hey, you have to come and see your name badge. This will be the really awkward part of the recording. It's me standing here pretending I'm doing something important. You all look so relaxed. I'm really jealous. I knew I needed to bring a chair on stage this time. Don't mind me, I'm just dancing ridiculously on stage while you've got your eyes closed. It's fine. You're missing a great show. Sherelle's going to come up here and join me. So, unfortunately, I have to wrap it up now. You all looked really peaceful, though, and I hope you've recovered a bit, because we only have one more session today, and then you can go to sleep. I mean, party really hard. It'll be great. Thank you all so much for coming. I really hope you've learned something, or you have something you can take away. Feel free to come chat to me about any of the things, even things I haven't mentioned. I'm usually pretty happy to talk. I will be doing an assignment, so obviously I'll need to procrastinate in some way. But yeah, thank you all so much for coming. I want to thank you all and give you a clap.